Hi, it's Broadcasting Sunny, the DIY network for the Onboard Blues. Today we're going to make an anklet, a hemp cord anklet. My ankle measures just short of 9 inches, and this anklet is about a foot long from knot to knot. And then you have these at the end. If you want to make it a bracelet, make it a little shorter. You could see this is a bit big for, just take out a couple of beads, say 3, 6, 7, 8, these are 8 beads. This does not have a latch, you just tie it at when you put it on. So you are going to need hemp cord, 1 millimeter hemp cord. Most hemp cord is 1 millimeter, not all, but most. And beads, like I said, about 11 beads. These should be 6 millimeter. Any lower, it's hard to put it on the hemp cord. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so there's 4 parts to this anklet that we're going to do. There's the overhand knot that you will find that is a typical knot that you always do. There's the braid, there's the bead, and there's the square knots. The square knots being the most difficult. We'll go over all of them. The bead is basically slipping it on, but we'll go over all of them and just skip ahead if you know how to do it already. Okay, so you have 3 strings here. 2 of them are 36 inches. 1 of them's 24 inch. The 24 inch will eventually end up in the middle of these 3 strings. We'll start with the overhand knot. The overhand knot's pretty simple. You've probably have even done it. Okay, the overhand knot is pretty simple. Loop it around your fingers. Put through the hole. Okay, now we're gonna make the braid. With the braid, you wanna make sure the 24-inch one is in the center. You're gonna end up with the 24-inch one in the center. 24-inch string. You have 3 strings, 1, 2, 3 for this braid. You start with the outermost. You probably know how to do a braid, so you can skip ahead if you know this. Start with the outer one, move it to the middle of the other 2. With the overhand, we're always going to be over these strings, over. You can pin this down. Some people pin it down. I like to hold it so I can keep it tight. I keep it between my thumb and forefinger. I keep it flat as I go along. I can flatten it as I go along and push it up. And then after you put this one over, take the one on the left-handmost side, bring it to the center, tighten it up at the top. The right-handmost side, bring it to the center, and just keep going like that. Left-handmost side, the middle of the other 2 strings, right-handmost side, middle of the 2 strings, and basically you're just going to keep going down like that. Keep doing that for about 2 inches until it reaches 2 inches. Even for a bracelet, do it for about 2 inches. I wouldn't shorten it at all. I shorten the bracelet, the anklet to a bracelet with the beads. You need this extra string so you can tie it. Like I said, there's no latch to this bracelet. Okay, that's a little more than 2 inches, but that's fine. All right, so with the 2 inches, we're gonna start with the next knot, which is a square knot. Let me make sure. Yep, square knot. We'll make 1 square knot. The square knot is a little bit more trickier, but after you finish this anklet, bracelet, you will be so used to it that it will be second nature. Okay, so what you want to start with is make sure the 24-inch one, which is this one, is in the center. Oh, nope, it's this one. Luckily, I was a little more than 2 inches. I'm still at the 2-inch mark, good. So make sure that that's in the center, because this one you're not gonna need as many, as much string, because most of the knotting comes from the outer 2 ones, plus you're beading this one and these 2 are going around it. So with that start, you're gonna take the rightmost string. Actually, I'm gonna flip this over, because what you wanna do, I'm flipping it over because this center string is in the center, but this one is flipped over, because the first move you're gonna make to make this square knot is to take the rightmost string and go under the center string. And you'll make a little hole there. You're gonna use that hole in a minute. So you went under it, so you're gonna go over the last string. Then that last string, which is the leftmost, you will take and go through this little hoop that I mentioned earlier. Pull the 2 strings. And as you can see, it's almost like making a knot over this string here. Okay, now that's a half a square knot. Now we got to do the other half. With the other half, you take the rightmost string again. This time you're going to go over the center string and under the leftmost string. Pick up that leftmost string. It shouldn't be leftmost anymore. And this time you're gonna, this loop that you made here, you're going to go under the 2 strings and pull through it. Okay, and that's your square knot. You'll see it better after you put the bead on and you have to make 3 square knots in a row. Okay, to put the bead on, there's a little bit of a trick to it. Let me get my bead. Because the string is so small, I like to cut the end of the string, which I already did, but I made this a little longer so you can see, at an angle. I find it goes on better with the bead. So I don't know if you can see it. I can try bringing it up and focusing in. It's on a little bit of a slant. Okay. So that way I can take the bead and kind of grab the end and slide it in. I don't know, let me see if I can bring it up close again. Hold on, let me focus in. So I grab the highermost, kind of push it in. Oops. Now that won't work. This is the first time. I always work. This is the first time I'm putting it in. As you can see, I twisted the string somewhat, which I will do more often as time goes on. what I end up doing is each time just before I put in a bead, I twist this and I keep twisting it and twist it and twist it about, I count 10 times every single time, so it's easier to put the bead in. Okay, so now we have the bead on, and now we're going to make 3 square knots. And I'm gonna go over it one more time because the square knot's a little difficult. Take the rightmost string, go under the center string, and over the leftmost string while picking up the leftmost. That little loop you made here in the beginning, you're going to take that leftmost string and put it through from the top. As you're coming in, you'll see that these 2 strings are going around the bead. Now that was half a square. This you'll have to control with your fingers, so be somewhat, if you pull too hard, it gets underneath. Then over, under, through the hole from the bottom. That's square knot number 2. Under, over, through the hole from the top. Over, under, through the hole from the bottom. And that's square knot number 3. Grab your bead, 6 millimeter. I just licked my fingers and I'm twisting 10 times. And slip it through. And start all over again. For a anklet, my ankle is about 9 inches. I do 11 beads. It's tight in the beginning, and then this cord is kind of stretchy. It loosens up. And then for a bracelet, you probably can get away with 8 beads. Okay, so I put in 11 beads. Anyway, the last 3 were square knots. Bead, square knot, bead, square knot. And what you'll do is braid the ending. And that again is, and this time, and you notice here my inner string, these on the ends, actually this was the end, this was my inner one, is now longer than the other 2. It does make a big difference because these are the 2 that are making the knots, whereas this one's just one strand that goes throughout the bracelet or anklet. All right, so yeah, from here you're gonna braid 2 inches, and I will see you at the end. Here I am at the end, and all you're going to do is the overhand knot. It's that simple knot that you do everywhere else when you use strings. And you can control where the knot goes by pushing those loops. Nice and tight. And I like it to look like that end. Cut it off, and then you can put it on your You use the